Welcome to CamCam on the Cam, a channel about collegiate rowing on the River Cam. This is the first video in a series about the bumps, an uncommon type of rowing race held 3 times a year in Cambridge. This video will explore the basics of the bumps, explaining why they exist and how they work. The River Cam near Cambridge is too narrow and sinuous for safe side-by-side racing at long distances, so a type of racing called bumps was adopted in 1827 to allow for safe-ish racing. A bumps race involves around 18 crews at a time, called a division, starting in a line from a fixed stationary position. Then, a cannon is fired and the crews set off with the aim of hitting the crew in front. When a crew is hit by a boat from behind, they bump out and both crews involved stop racing. Bumped out crews pull into the bank to allow the rest of the division to safely pass by them. After the end of the race, the division is then rearranged. Bumped crews swap place with the crews that hit them. Each bump season lasts a week, with each division racing 4 times. This gives each crew 4 opportunities to get a bump or get bumped. If a crew manages to get a bump every time they race, they are awarded commemorative blades. If a crew is bumped every time they race, they are awarded commiserary spoons instead. College bumps are held twice a year. Lent bumps are at the end of Lent term, and May bumps are after examinations in Easter term. Each division contains 17 crews, apart from the bottom-most divisions which have 12 or 6 crews on the men's and women's sides respectively. There are 8 divisions in Lent bumps, and 11 divisions in May bumps. The divisions are roughly sorted by skill, with the best crews in the top M1 and W1 divisions. The divisions are preserved between years, which means that where a crew finishes in one year is where they start the following year. However, the divisions are not preserved between Lent and May bumps. The preservation of divisions creates a long-term rough sorting mechanism, where a boat's position on the bumps ladder reflects their skill over several years. The boat at the top of each division is called the sandwich boat. The sandwich boat rows in their own division and in the division above. If they bump a boat in the division above them, that allows the sandwich boat to move up the division. The crew at the top of the M1 and W1 divisions are called the headship crews, and the crew at the top of the first divisions at the end of the bumps weeks gets the headship, which is awarded with blades, a university medal, and eternal glory. The race begins at the bottom of the river, between First Post Corner and Batesbight Lock, and it finishes between Top Finish and Peter's Post. Thus, the race goes upstream, against the flow of the river and into the prevailing wind. Where your crew exactly starts and finishes depends on where you are in the division. This is known as the starting order. If you are at the top of the division, you begin on Headship Station, which is the closest station to Grassy Corner, and you finish at Top Finish. From Headship Station, each crew is spaced out evenly, with a gap of 1.5 boat lengths between the stern and the bow of each crew. This distance is maintained by a length of chain which the cox needs to hold before the race begins. This chain is also known as the bung, and dropping the bung early can lead to disqualification. If you are starting between position 1 and 9 inclusive, your finish line is at Top Finish. If you are starting between position 11 and 18, you race to Bottom Finish, which is at Peter's Posts. Finally, if you are starting at position 10, your cox chooses where you finish, allowing you to chase a crew if they are close. The bottom divisions, M4 and W4 in Lents, and M6 and W5 in Mays, have different finish lines. Their top finish is at the railway bridge, and their bottom finish is the railings on the reach. A bump has a technical definition to ensure that all bumps are valid. All bumps are decided by the marshals on the bank, and their decisions are final. A bump is counted if there is any physical contact between 2 boats. This includes bow balls, blades, rowers, and riggers. A bump is also valid before Grassy Corner if the bow ball of the chasing crew is past the cocks of the crew in front. After Grassy Corner, a bump is valid if the bow ball of the chasing crew is past the bow ball of the crew in front. Bumps can be disqualified for a number of reasons. The most important disqualification is if a chasing crew hits a stationary crew. This is to prevent coxes ramming their boats into crews that have run into issues. In that scenario, the chasing crew should not hit the crew in front, but instead come to a halt or row around the crew in front if possible. After any bump, the chasing crew should hold it up and come to a stop as quickly as possible, whilst the bumped crew should continue rowing and both crews then pull into the bank. Pulling into the bank is known as clearing, and it is important that crews clear as quickly as possible, especially if there are crews chasing very closely behind. The bumps are an exciting and thrilling type of race, and are the culmination of the rowing year at Cambridge. As always, more information can be found on the CUCBC website, and this video should not be taken as a substitute for the Cox's briefing for the bumps. There is much more to learn about the bumps, which we will discuss in future videos. Thank you for watching. Next time, we will discuss CUCBC's 10 Golden Rules of the River, and we'll discuss them in detail.